Shame tells you to stay small, to stay hidden, to stay silent. But God answers shame with restoration, not barely enough, but double. Shame never announces itself loudly. It settles quietly. It rewrites your story while pretending to protect you. It tells you that what happened to you, or what you did, is now who you are. And slowly, without asking permission, it reshapes how you pray, how you see yourself, how you imagine God looking at you, not as a father drawing near, but as a judge keeping distance. Shame does not just remember the past, it traps you inside it. It makes restoration feel unrealistic, joy feel undeserved, hope feel irresponsible. And even when forgiveness is spoken, shame whispers, yes, but not for someone like you. So you learn to survive spiritually, present, but never fully restored, forgiven, but never honored. God saw this long before we named it, and Isaiah 61:7 speaks directly to the place shame tries to rule, instead of your shame. A double portion, not silence, not tolerance, not quiet survival, but restoration so visible it contradicts what shame declared. God does not merely remove disgrace, He replaces it. He does not leave a vacuum, He fills it with honor. This is where shame starts to lose its authority, when God refuses to agree with the identity pain tried to give you. We often imagine restoration as subtle, almost hidden, just enough to function again. But God's idea of restoration is disruptive. It interrupts shame's narrative. Isaiah 61:7 does not promise a private healing. It promises an exchange, shame for honor, loss for abundance, disgrace for rejoicing. God restores in a way that forces the past to loosen its grip. Shame says, keep your head down. Restoration says, lift your eyes. Shame teaches you to expect less. Restoration reintroduces expectancy, not arrogance, but dignity. The quiet confidence that God does not rebuild halfway. What He restores with intention, with fullness, with public evidence that He was involved. This is difficult to accept because shame feels familiar. Restoration feels risky. Shame is predictable. Restoration requires trust. It means believing God is not just willing to forgive, but eager to honor. Not because you earned it, but because He refuses to let shame have the final word. God is not embarrassed by your story. He is committed to redeeming it. The hardest part of restoration is not receiving it. It is learning to live as if it is real. Shame lingers. It tries to follow you into healed places. It reminds you of who you used to be. But restoration changes your position, not just your condition. Isaiah 61:7 speaks of inheritance, of lasting joy, of identity rewritten by God Himself. To live restored is to stop introducing yourself through your wounds, to stop measuring your worth by your worst moment, to stop apologizing for taking up space in God's promises. Restoration gives you permission to rejoice again, to hope again, to expect goodness without flinching. God does not restore you so you can barely survive. He restores you so you can stand, so you can carry joy without suspicion, so you can wear grace without shame whispering underneath. Because when God restores, He does not just heal what was broken, He establishes what was missing. And this is the truth: shame cannot survive. What God restores, He also honors, and what He honors, no past has the authority to shame again. Let's pray. God, I come carrying a quiet shame, the kind that doesn't always show, but weighs heavy inside. Moments when I replay what went wrong, words I wish I could take back, seasons where I feel marked by failure. Your word says that instead of shame, you give a double portion. Instead of disgrace, you give joy. But my heart struggles to believe that promise applies to me. I feel exposed, smaller than before, unsure how to lift my head again. Lord, meet me here, in this place where shame whispers lies, tells me I am finished, forgotten, unworthy. Cover me with your restoration, not by denying the pain, but by redeeming it. Teach my heart that you do not restore halfway. You replace ashes with beauty. You trade loss for joy. You restore what shame tried to erase. I stand before you honestly, asking you to begin this healing work. Slowly, gently, faithfully. Restore me, Lord, where shame still has a voice. Lord, shame taught me to hide my face, to shrink my voice, to expect less from life and from myself. It trained my heart to believe that what was broken could never be whole again. But you speak a different language. You call restoration where I see ruin. You promise honor where I feel exposed. Teach me to unlearn the lies shame repeated. Help me stop introducing myself by my wounds. I don't want my past to speak louder than your promise. Isaiah said, "You give a double portion," not because we earned it, but because you are generous in mercy. I struggle to receive that. I admit it. Restoration feels undeserved, almost uncomfortable. Yet you invite me to lift my eyes, to stand again, to believe that joy can return. Touch the places where shame settled deepest, the memories that still sting, the moments I avoid thinking about. Replace the language of disgrace with truth. Let restoration begin in how I see myself through you, not as damaged goods, but as redeemed, loved, and called forward again. Father, I see now how shame tried to rewrite my story. It told me my worst moment was my final chapter. It convinced me to live cautiously, to dream smaller, to expect less joy. But you interrupt that voice with promise. You say the future can hold more than the past ever took. I bring you the fear of being seen again, the hesitation to hope again, the quiet grief of what I lost. Restore not only what others can see, but what shame stole inside me. Restore confidence. Restore trust. Restore the courage to step forward. Teach me that restoration is not pretending nothing happened. It is allowing you to rebuild on truth. I don't want to rush this healing. I want it to go deep. Replace heaviness with joy, not shallow happiness, but settled peace. Let my heart slowly learn to rejoice again, without fear that joy will be taken away. I open myself to your restoring work, believing that what you restore, you strengthen, and what you heal, you sustain. God, shame made me withdraw. It taught me to step back instead of step in, to stay quiet instead of engage, to assume I no longer belonged. But your restoration calls me forward again, not to perform, but to participate. Teach me how to return without fear, how to stand without flinching, how to live without constantly apologizing for my existence. I confess that sometimes I resist restoration because shame feels familiar and healing feels unknown. Yet you are patient. You do not rush me. You invite me gently, step by step. Help me accept honor without suspicion, joy without guilt, restoration without self-punishment. Let my heart relearn safety in your presence. Replace isolation with belonging, heaviness with praise, distance with closeness. I don't want to live half restored. I want to experience the fullness you promised. Even if it takes time, even if I stumble forward, I choose to trust your restoring hand, leading me out of shame and into joy. Lord, restoration is touching places I didn't know were wounded, not just my past, but my expectations. I notice how shame shaped what I believed I deserved, how it lowered my hope, narrowed my prayers, softened my faith. You are lifting that weight slowly, teaching me to ask again, to trust again, to believe that good is still possible. Your word promises joy instead of disgrace, and I am learning to receive that joy without fear. Help me celebrate what you are restoring, even while some scars remain. Let those scars remind me not of shame, but of healing, of survival, of grace at work. Teach me to walk restored, not arrogantly, but confidently, aware of where I came from, but not trapped there. Let gratitude shape my steps, humility guard my heart, and joy begin to rise again. I choose to believe that restoration is not fragile, that what you rebuild, you sustain. I step forward today, not defined by disgrace, but marked by your promise, and learning to rejoice again. Father, as restoration continues, I feel moments of resistance inside me, times when shame tries to return, reminding me of what I lost, whispering that I should stay small. But you meet me there, steady, patient, reminding me that restoration is not reversed by memory. Teach me how to answer those old voices, not with denial, but with truth. When the past resurfaces, anchor me in what you are doing now. Help me live present, not trapped in regret. Let my identity be shaped by your promise, not my pain. I don't want to hide my face anymore. I want to lift my head, even when vulnerability remains. Give me courage to walk restored, even when confidence feels fragile. Let your joy strengthen me quietly, from the inside out. I trust that you are healing what shame tried to bury, and restoring what I thought was gone forever. I remain open to your work, even when it challenges my comfort, believing that restoration is still unfolding, step by step, by your grace. Lord, I begin to see how restoration changes the way I relate to others. Shame once made me withdraw, avoid eye contact, fear judgment. Now, you invite me back into connection, not pretending I was never hurt, but living healed. Teach me to walk with humility, without self-erasing, to speak honestly, without shame, to receive love, without suspicion. Let restored joy soften my presence, so others feel hope near me, not perfection. Use what you healed in me to comfort those still hiding, those still bowed under disgrace. May my story quietly testify that shame is not the end, that you rebuild what was broken and give joy where sorrow once ruled. I don't want to waste this restoration. I want it to overflow into compassion, patience, kindness. Keep my heart grounded, so I never forget where you found me. Let gratitude protect me from pride, and mercy shape how I see others. I walk forward restored, not superior, but grateful, carrying joy gently as a gift from you. God, there are still days when joy feels unfamiliar, when restoration feels fragile, like something I might lose if I'm not careful. Shame taught me to brace for disappointment, to expect joy to disappear. But you are teaching me to rest, not in my vigilance, but in your faithfulness. Help me trust that what you restore, you also protect. Let joy grow roots, not shallow excitement, but steady assurance. Teach my heart to enjoy good moments without guilt, to smile without fear, to hope without apology. When I catch myself pulling back from joy, remind me that restoration honors you, that receiving is also obedience. I don't want to live guarded forever. I want to live grateful, open, alive. Let laughter return. Let peace settle. Let joy feel safe again, even if it comes quietly, even if it comes slowly. I receive it as a gift, not something I stole. Thank you for restoring not only what was broken, but my capacity to feel whole again. I remain here, learning to live restored, one peaceful breath at a time. Father, as restoration settles deeper, I notice how shame once shaped my prayers. I used to ask timidly, unsure if I was allowed to hope. But now you invite me to ask again, to believe again, to stand before you without lowering my eyes. Teach me to pray from restoration, not from disgrace. Let my requests be shaped by trust, not fear. When doubt tries to return, remind me of what you have already healed, of how far you've brought me. I don't want to forget this work. I don't want to minimize it. Seal this restoration in my heart, so when hard days come, I remember truth. I remember joy. I remember that shame was not stronger than your promise. Let confidence grow quietly, without arrogance, without hurry, rooted in gratitude. I place my future in your hands again, not expecting perfection, but trusting faithfulness. I walk forward today, no longer bowed, no longer hiding, but learning to live restored, believing that joy is now part of my story and not something I must fear losing. Lord, I end this prayer standing where shame once held me down, and I realize I am not the same. You have been restoring me patiently, gently, faithfully. You kept your promise. You replaced disgrace with joy. You gave more than what was lost, not because I was strong, but because you are good. I release the last traces of shame into your hands, the quiet accusations, the old labels, the fear of being remembered by my worst moment. I choose to remember myself by your mercy. Let this restoration continue beyond today, shaping how I walk, how I speak, how I hope. When shame tries to return, remind me that joy was promised and given. I rest now, not in what I did, not in what was done to me, but in what you have restored. Thank you for lifting my head, for giving me beauty instead of ashes, joy instead of mourning. I walk forward, restored, not rushed, not perfect, but free and deeply grateful. Amen. May the Lord's grace and peace accompany you today. Thank you for joining us in this moment of prayer.